So, you're on the hunt for a great dog trainer in Sterling, Massachusetts. Well, you've come to the right place. We're going to walk through everything you need to know to make a really confident choice for you and your dog.
The whole point of this is to make life better. Imagine a nice, relaxing walk on the Sterling Greenways, or a trip to the local farmer's market where you're not stressed out. That's what good training does. It lets you actually enjoy all the great things about living here with your best friend. All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll touch on why training in a town like Sterling is so helpful. Then, we'll get into training philosophies, which is a big one. After that, it's programs and costs, the key questions you need to ask, and we'll wrap up with some important local rules and resources.
Sterling really is a close-knit community, right? And that feeling extends to our pets. With leash laws in place and neighbors who appreciate a polite dog, having a well-behaved pup isn't just nice, it's really part of being a good neighbor. Okay, let's move on to what is probably the most critical piece of this whole puzzle, the trainer's core philosophy. This is all about how they plan to build that essential foundation of trust between you and your dog.
You're going to hear this term a lot, positive reinforcement. And it's pretty simple, really. It just means the trainer uses rewards, like a tasty treat or some happy praise, to encourage the behaviors you want to see. It makes learning fun for the dog. It's humane, and it absolutely strengthens your bond.
And this is where you see a really big difference. Modern, reward-based training helps create a happy, confident dog who wants to work with you. Outdated methods, on the other hand, often rely on fear or intimidation. Not only can that make behavior issues worse, but it can seriously damage the trust you have with your dog.
So, how can you tell if a trainer knows their stuff? Well, look for credentials. Things like CPDT-KA or KPA-CTP show that a trainer has a real education in modern, science-backed methods. And if you're dealing with more serious issues, a certification like IABC-CDBC means they have specialized expertise.
Okay, so we've talked about philosophy. Now let's get into the practical side of things, the different types of programs you'll find, and a general idea of what you can expect to budget for training right here in the Sterling area.
You basically got a few common choices. Group classes are awesome for learning to focus when other dogs and people are around. Private lessons are perfect for tackling specific things that happen at home, like barking at the door. Then there's board and train, which is more intensive. The key there is making sure the trainer is also going to teach you how to keep up all that good work.
Now for the numbers. This chart gives you a pretty good ballpark for costs in Worcester County. A 6-week group class, for instance, might be in the $200 to $300 range. Of course, a multi-week board and train is a much bigger investment. Just remember, these are estimates, and costs can definitely vary.
All right, so you've found a trainer or two that you think might be a good fit. Now it's time to talk to them. Having the right questions ready to go will make that conversation so much more effective.
First, you'll want to hear them talk about their training philosophy. Ask about their credentials. You'll also want to ask about their specific experience with the kinds of challenges you're facing. Get a feel for what a training plan looks like, and of course, clarify fees. And here's a really telling one. Ask if they're willing to work with your vet, especially for complex behavior stuff. That shows a real team player attitude.
Lastly, let's bring it all home and talk about what it means to be a responsible dog owner right here in Sterling. Knowing the local rules and the best places to practice can make all the difference.
So, a few key rules to keep in mind. Sterling does have a leash law for all public areas. Rabies vaccination is a state requirement, and you've got to register your dog with the town every year. Also, be aware that excessive barking can be considered a nuisance, which is another great reason to work on training.
So where can you go to practice all these new skills? Well, Hutton Park has some nice open spaces, perfect for working on recalls on a long line. The trails over at Watchusett Meadow are fantastic for practicing focus with all those natural distractions. And of course, the Sterling Greenways are the ideal spot for perfecting that nice, loose leash walk.
And in the end, that's what this is really all about. When you put in the effort with training, you get so much back. More enjoyable hikes, less stressful walks, and calmer greetings with the neighbors. We wish you the absolute best as you build that incredible partnership with your dog.